Going into the first test of a must-win series, and one that in many ways provides a big challenge because you're away from home in conditions that are at best unsuitable to your conditions, and that was downright against the way you play. Your focus ideally should be on the sport. Yet, if you're England captain Ben Stokes, you unfortunately find your focus elsewhere, and that elsewhere is, of course, on the fact that a member of your team will unfortunately not be part of the first test, not due to any injuries or some sort of other issue, but due to issues relating to his visa. Of course, we're talking about Shoaib Bashir, who was in fact called up with the squad. The off spinner, who's of Pakistani origin, however, ran into some kind of complications with his visa. He didn't get that visa on time, and now, as a result, has flown back to the UK and will definitely be missing the first test. And till his visa issues get sorted, there's no way he can land in India. So when Ben Stokes fronted up to the media on the day before the test match, that is of course today, it was pretty evident that he couldn't hide his frustration at this fact. He couldn't hide his frustration at the fact that a player who he clearly felt could make a difference in these conditions was unfortunately not part of the 11 and part of the squad, not due to any reason such as an injury or mental health issues, anything of the sort. No, it was because of a totally, let's say, administrative red tape issue. So naturally, Stokes did speak a lot about that. But before we focus on that, it's worth noticing and worth talking about what it is that he said about his own role. And as many suspected, he'll not be playing this particular series as an all-rounder, but as a pure batter. Why is that the case? Well, he revealed that the last ball I bowled was actually in the Ashes at Lord's. So my body is nowhere near ready to even be thinking about competitive bowling at the moment. And it makes sense because, again, if you remember how it is that Stokes was going to address this particular injury, his plan was to get through the Ashes, play as a pure batter, then immediately after the Ashes was done, undergo corrective knee surgery that would hopefully have him fully fit for the India series, not just as a batter, but potentially as an all-rounder as well. However, there was just one small little complication. Ben Stokes was talked out of retirement, his ODI retirement that is, and asked to come back to the England ODI side as they seek to defend their crown in India. That didn't go to plan at all, we all know that. But what it also did was put the timeline of Stokes' recovery back. It pushed it back or pushed it forward significantly. So what happened was that Stokes did end up getting surgery, but the recovery time that was going to be needed meant he couldn't actually put in the hard yards to potentially be bowling. And that's why he said, no way I'm going to be bowling. I'm nowhere near competitively ready. But enough about that. Let's focus on the major issue at hand, as we mentioned, the Shoaib Bashir issue. And this is what he had to say about that. He's saying, as a captain, I find it particularly frustrating. We announced that squad in mid-December, and now Bash finds himself without a visa to get here. I am more frustrated for him. And it's easy to understand why that frustration is there. And he also further elucidates on this particular frustration. He was once again questioned, and he said this, saying, I find it frustrating that we have picked a player and he's not with us because of visa issues. Especially for a young lad, I'm devastated for him. Now, he's talked about two aspects. He's saying that, look, we announced, and both aspects really require plenty of focus. One was the fact that, as he said, the squad was announced in mid-December. The second, as he said, for a young player, this can be a major issue. Now, both issues are valid because, as he said, the squad wasn't announced recently, or Shoaib Bashir wasn't some sort of a last-minute, let's say, replacement for anyone. He was, in fact, brought into the squad at the first time of asking. So, in theory, his visa issues should have been sorted out much before there should have been any issues. And as he says, on a young athlete who's mainly focused on the sport, to then have to, at the last minute, turn back around and go back home due to something that is in no way down to his control, it's definitely very unfortunate. So it's easy to understand why it is that Stokes is frustrated, but it hasn't really stopped England from naming 4 full-time spinners in their playing 11. And when I say 4 full-time, I actually mean 3 full-time and 1 part-timer in Joe Root. They have a Rehan Ahmed, they've got Tom Hartley and Jack Leach, all who are going to be spin bowling options. The only pacer they're playing is Mark Wood, which I kind of understand you'd want to have an express pacer to maybe, let's say, come in there and hit the deck when necessary, because again, that can be a useful tactic on ranked turners. So that's the only reason they have just one pacer, 4 spinners, and that includes, of course, Joe Root. Of course, do you think a Bashir could have potentially been making it into the lineup? I found him hard to fit in mainly because of Root, but again, finger spinners in rank turning conditions can be a handful, so they might have chosen to go with an off spinner rather than 2 left arm spinners. That seems to be the hypothesis, but what are your thoughts on the entire matter, as well as, of course, the whole visa issue that Shoaib Bashir has found himself in? You can let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Don't forget to download the AajTak app, and if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos we've done as well. For now though, from my side, it is goodbye.